you know, now we've arrived in Cape Town, it's obviously very real, and that 4 years has just flown by. So yeah, it's brilliant. It feels the right time, and really energised now that we're here. Yeah, it was a tricky period for us, obviously, with some of the girls still in Oz, right through to the finals, which was awesome. But yeah, the direct 10 days before we moved across yesterday were spent in Stellenbosch. We were out there last year pre-Commonwealth Games, so we had a good recce then. It just is a great space, works well for us as an environment, very much head down in our own bubble, but with a little bit of kind of freedom to get out and just get some good coffee in the girls. It's important. And yeah, it was lovely. We love it there. Great backdrop. It means that we can genuinely rest between the hard sessions, and it just gave us a really decent block of intense training, and now we're on that taper heading towards game one. Yeah, it feels like I've sat with those plans for a long time. We've had like 5 or 6 different exit points that we've had to plan for, not just with SSN, but obviously with Laura over in ANZ as well. So it was our world. We knew that was going to be the case, and we want those girls to be successful. And finals netball is a great experience for them to bring back to us. But ultimately, you know, the 5 sessions here in Stellenbosch are the only 5 where we've been back together as a whole 15. So it does come with its challenges, but I think you plan for that, you know, all year through the domestic competitions. We've been linking in with them as coaches. We've been making those connections between their performance domestically and how that's going to sit back in that red dress. And I think we're really reaping the reward for those efforts, both from the players and us as staff. So it certainly is challenging, but we're also very mindful that we have spent time together in that international window. We played a lot of netball last year, Uganda, Australia, the Quad Series. So I think we squeezed every last ounce out of those opportunities, and then I think we've managed ourselves well, and real credit to the athletes that are overseas. They've really engaged and connected back home, and the conversation between the player groups has been great as well. So their analysis is done whilst being very respectful and mindful that they're all in their club dresses, whether that's home or overseas. And since we've come back in, the energy's been great, the engagement is awesome. They're really leading themselves and championing what it is that we're trying to do tactically, and none of that is new. So I guess that's the reassuring thing, is that's on us as coaches. You know, what did we find out earlier in the year, and now that we've obviously settled on that 12 and the 15, it allows you to just be so much more focused. So yeah, I've been really impressed with how we've tracked the last couple of weeks. Yeah, so you're right, we look at it in different blocks. So yeah, that block 1 will be those opening 3 games, and I think the focus is still very much on us and our Rose's way, but obviously we need to be very clear tactically about any kind of nuances around those styles that we're going to come up against, but always bringing it back to what do we already have in our locker that we just might need to do more of or less of. And so we were fortunate to play against Tonga in Zimbabwe over in Stellenbosch, so that was really helpful because they're not teams that we've come up against before. So should we meet them in phase 2, that's really helped us, but it also has prepped us well for some of the styles that we'll meet early on, obviously in Malawi and Barbados in particular. Great athletes, very rangy, reactive. Our timing needs to be addressed during those matches in particular. So I think we did a good job in playing both those nations, and that's definitely prepared us well for block 1. We're as prepared as we can be. I think there's a quiet confidence amongst the group. They know exactly what they're doing. They're more than capable of competing with any of these top nations over the course of the next 2 weeks. It's just always going to come down to those fine tuning and those marginal gains, and that's clearly what we've had to focus on since Quad Series. I think we're getting footholds in games, and it's just around those crunch moments. So we've spent a lot of time on mindset more than anything, and kind of understanding that some of that new territory where, you know, we were able to go longer in games against the world number 1 but not quite get over the line, and where we have done that, you know, against some other teams, it's just that consistency part that every coach is searching for. But I think where we're feeling we're quite robust, we're a resilient team. I think we've proven that we don't lay down too easily. We've got a great fight in us, but I do think a lot of it now has come down on our mindset and building confidence, focusing on our strengths individually and collectively as a team, and just staying true to that under those pressure conditions. Expectations versus what we believe we're capable of is maybe slightly different. I think, you know, ultimately we want to make sure that we're at least in those medals. But I think since I started, I remember speaking to the group back then around, wouldn't it be great if we can just go where No Rose's team has gone before and break into that World Cup final? And that's not to say if we were to make it there that we're not then heading for gold, but I think it is something we've not done. You know, we've all obviously seen the impact that Commonwealth Games gold had. It's the first final the team have ever made. Unfortunately, we went on to win that, but I think, you know, it's not easy to back that up. And the World Cup is something that a Roses team has never done. And I think that's what's really driving this group. They're ambitious, they're confident, they care about each other, they're very connected, and they're more than capable. And so I think we're just quietly trying to go about our business, obviously try and outperform what we were able to put out on Commonwealth Games last year. So a medal is absolutely something that we should expect of ourselves, and that we've been working really hard to achieve, not just on behalf of ourselves, but also our fans. But I think we're really kind of hungry to reach a bit further than that and see if we can push ourselves into another final. You have to be in them to learn how to win them, and we've only been in one. So I think that would be great if we can set some of our own history again.